Keep watching KBN, the finest television in Zambia.
KBN TV, the finest television.
What up, people? What up, my guy? Keep watching KBN TV.
Finest
television in Zambia.
Hello. Keep watching KBN TV, the finest television on Top Star Channel 102.
KBN TV, the finest television.
KBN TV.
Bozemba.
Yeah, good to go.
Leta bozemba hapa, nilipakate nilitafune fasta. Silagi koko napenda bata, sipendi usumbufu nazima data.
Are you a music lover? Do you like Zambia music or is it Afro music? I know what you like. Is it Havana Degana the same day? Selako. The KBN TV is the right place for you. Join us every Monday.
We are a credible and trusted news source. We are KBN Television. Catch us live on Top Star Channel 102. And remember to like our page KBN TV on Facebook for all breaking news. KBN, the finest television.
Hello there, welcome to KBN Main News. We take a look at the headlines. Tempers rise as ECZ walks out without announcing election results. Sean Tembo, Fred Membe, Nevas Mumba concede defeat in the presidential race. The Human Rights Commission calls for immediate restoration of internet services. And our foreign news tonight, Taliban capture 2 major cities, tightening insurgent grip on Afghanistan. Our sports headline, Zesco dates Leopards bankers in a Konangwi test in the CAF Champions League. And now, the details with me, Tapelo Joe Smarter. The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ officials, today walked out on election stakeholders at Mulungushi International Conference Center, where they were scheduled to address the media, the nation, and the electoral stakeholders. This was after Opposition United Party for National Development UPND Chairman for Elections, Gary Nkombo, interjected Commission Chairperson Justice Esau Chulu when he was in the process of announcing the first set of results at constituency level for Fera in Lusaka District. Commission Chief Electoral Officer Kritika Chindano responded to Mr. Nkombo's concerns by announcing that the officials will retreat to their chambers until further notice. Earlier, the Commission had announced that they will start announcing election results at 10 hours after all polling stations closed at 05 hours. However, the Commission later rescheduled the announcing of results to 15 hours, and when the officials appeared from the chambers at 15 hours, they announced that the results will only be ready by 16 hours.
At every polling station, you are given verified results on the part of the Commission, and it is your duty to verify those results with your agents. At this point, the Commission will retreat, and we ask that those agents in the political parties please proceed back to your room, and you will be guided. Thank you.
We would like to thank you very sincerely for... I'm still addressing you.
Hello, don't go.
Excuse me.
Don't walk.
We are still addressing the Commission. We are still addressing the Commission, please.
That is not right. That attitude is not right.
Just go and meet me.
You can't exist without that.
Now, Movement for Multi-Party Democracy (MMD) presidential candidate Dr. Nevas Mumba has conceded defeat in the presidential race, stating that the United Party for National Development (UPND) is headed for a very big victory.
To the members of the press and fellow countrymen. Today I deal with matters that are prevailing in the country in a rather very tense atmosphere, a lot of anxiety from many Zambians, still waiting for the results of this election. As you are aware, we are participants in this election, and we have information from polling stations that are reaching us, and our assessment from the trajectory from those polling stations is that our colleagues, the United Party for National Development, are headed for a very big win. And in conceding in this matter as a party and as a candidate, I would like to give the following counsel to the nation. It's an activity that I've done for many, many years. And I believe that under such circumstances, when the country is on its tentacles of fear and anxiety, a voice of reason must continue to arise regardless of the pain of our own experiences. I would like to state that based on the results that have come through, that we have taken note of from the polling stations, what we are seeing in Zambia today is a huge referendum against the Patriotic Front and their inability to lead the nation. The Zambian people have watched with great concern over the past 10 years as to how our nation has moved away from what it used to be, the envy of the continent and the envy of the world, to become a nation that is engulfed in violence.
And Patriots for Economic Progress (PEP) presidential candidate Sean Tembo has conceded defeat in the presidential race after the announcement of results in various polling stations. Mr. Tembo says other presidential candidates who had invested heavily in the race have performed dismally. He further added that it is inevitable that Hakainde Hichilema of the UPND will win the presidency in this election, stating that based on the results that have been announced. And Socialist Party presidential candidate Fred Membe has also conceded defeat in the presidential race as he congratulates UPND presidential candidate Hakainde Hichilema.
As Patriots for Economic Progress, we have noted the results that have so far come through from various polling stations across the country, and the information that our poll agents have provided us. And on that basis, we wish to inform the nation that we would like to concede defeat in this particular election. We have noted that this was predominantly a two-horse race between the PF and the UPND, and therefore even other presidential candidates who had invested heavily have not performed very well. And we wish to take this opportunity to also appeal to the Republican president and the government to consider providing state security to the UPND presidential candidate, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, because it is evident that based on what is available on the ground, he is likely to win this particular election. And therefore, as per custom, state security needs to be extended to him immediately.
The Golden Party of Zambia, GPZ, has also conceded defeat in Mufulira Central and Chawama constituencies. GPZ President Jackson Silavwe notes that the results that have so far been announced at different polling stations is an indication that the race is between the ruling PF and the opposition UPND. Mr. Silavwe has since congratulated the people of Zambia for a relatively peaceful election.
As Golden Party of Zambia, we would like to concede defeat in Mufulira Central and Chawama constituencies. Preliminary results from the polling stations in Mufulira Central and Chawama constituency where we fielded candidates so far announced clearly show that this race is between the PF and UPND. As a party, we accept the people's will and start preparing for future elections. Despite the loss of life in Northwestern Province and selected incidences of violence across the country, we congratulate the people of Zambia for a relatively peaceful election. God bless Zambia. Issued by Jackson Silavwe, President, Golden Party of Zambia. I thank you.
United States U.S. Embassy Charge d'Affaires David Young has condemned the acts of violence that have occurred across the country. Mr. Young says Mr. Jackson Kungo's killers must be brought to justice after he was killed yesterday. He says there is need for law enforcers to ensure safety across the country. Mr. Young has also condemned the attack on PF Matero aspirant Mao Sampa after he was yesterday attacked with his bodyguard in George Township.
We have heard reports of the acts of violence that have happened very tragically around the country. And I want to express on behalf of the U.S. Embassy our profound condolences and sorrow at the loss of life that has been suffered. Mr. Kungo's death in Solwezi is a terrible tragedy, and the people who did that terrible crime need to be brought to justice. We urge law enforcement and the courts to move forward to make sure that that kind of violence is not allowed to happen. It undermines the people's faith and security around the country. Similarly, attacks on Miles Sampa and his bodyguards and others is very worrisome. We've heard reports of a UPND supporter in Chalanga who was attacked. So there have been people in different parts of the country who suffered violence. All Zambians want peace, and we want to support as partners the goal that there be peace in the country. Everyone wants a free, fair, transparent, and peaceful election. That is our prayer.
The United Party for National Development UPND Alliance chairperson Charles Milupi has called for thorough investigations over the attacks that occurred yesterday during the electoral polls. Speaking during a media briefing this afternoon, Mr. Milupi says it is unacceptable to blame the UPND for the violence and killings that happened yesterday. He has since thanked Zambians for the massive turnout in yesterday's polls and is optimistic that the UPND will carry the day.
The UPND Alliance, because of the violence, isolated instances of violence that has taken place. We in the UPND Alliance regret the loss of any precious life. The senseless killings of any of our brothers and sisters can only be applauded by those that benefit from acts of violence, no matter the circumstances. UPND Alliance partners are not counted in this group. It is in this regard that we would like to extend our sympathies to the families of those who have lost their lives during yesterday's polling day. However, before anybody apportions blame as to who is responsible and who is not, we call for thorough investigations. That's what the rule of law demands. Thorough investigations to reveal the perpetrators of these crimes. We say this because history is full of instances where instances of violence were blamed on the UPND, when in actual fact it turned out to be false. The burning of the city market was blamed on the UPND. It turned out to be
Meanwhile, opposition UPND youths in Lusaka province have urged Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, to be professional in their dissemination of election results to the general public. UPND Provincial Youth Chairman Anderson Banda says the majority Zambians have voted for the UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema in yesterday's polls, adding that the commission wants to change the will of the people. Mr. Banda has demanded for the immediate release of the electoral results.
Strange, very provocative to our supporters who've worked so hard tirelessly to spread the message of goodwill to the masses of this country, to the citizens of this country, through our able leader Hakainde Hichilema. The people have said yes, and they have voted for President Church. Now ECZ, they want to change the status quo. We are not going to tolerate that. I demand immediate announcements and declaring of Hakainde Hichilema as the Republican President. We have our PVT, it has shown that HH has won. This type of dilly-dallying has potential to bring unnecessary problems in our country. We urge the police, the army, to make sure that they take control of the behavior that is being exhibited. Their duty is to protect the peace. So we demand that these results must be announced immediately.
You are still watching main news on the Finest Television. We take our first set of commercials. Join us for more news when we come back.
Keep watching KBN, the finest television in Zambia.
KBN TV, the finest television.
What up, people? What up, my guy? Keep watching KBN TV.
Finest
Television in Zambia.
Hello. Keep watching KBN TV, the finest television on Topstar Channel 102.
KBN TV, the finest television.
KBN TV.
Bozemba,
Yeah, good to go.
Leta bozemba hapa, nilipakate nilitafune fasta. Silagi kuku napenda bata, sipendi usumbufu nazima data.
Are you a music lover? Do you like Zambia music or is it Afro music? I know what you like. Is it Avana Degana to Sembe? Selako The KBN TV is the right place for you. Join us every Monday to Friday because we're jamming every day. Every day is a Friday on the finest television. Now join us and let's dance. Easy on We're back again. Do you want the rewind selector? Then stay tuned to the television. Nice amazing.
Thank you so much for still joining us. We continue with the main news. Ruling Patriotic Front Secretary General Davis Mwila says his party is optimistic that the electoral results will be in their favor as the country awaits for official results from the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ. Mr. Mwila says the huge turnout in Lusaka, Luapula, Muchinga, Copperbelt and Eastern Province is a clear indication that President Edgar Lungu will carry the day.
Firstly, all of us are aware that we have 10 provinces and we have our strong one. Muchinga, they have close to 400,000 voters. Luapula has more than 500,000 voters. Northern Province has more than 500,000 voters. And then Eastern Province has 835. Do the mathematics, it's more than 2 million voters. Then we have Lusaka, we have Copperbelt. That's where our strength lies, of course, with Central Province. So we are very confident.
And PF Deputy National Campaign Manager Given Luwinda has since condemned the killing of PF Northwestern Province Chairman Jackson Kungo. Mr. Luwinda has also refuted claims of pre-marked ballots being found on the late Mr. Kungo, stating that he was murdered for exercising his right to vote as a Zambian.
All those accusations were purely and squarely false, and the people who were accusing also knew that they were false. Councillor for Chilenje Ward was prevented from entering a polling station to go and check his votes on accusation that he had ballot paper. And the young man didn't even have any paper on him whatsoever. So it is false. No one was found with any ballot paper. And I put it to the UPND. They must produce those ballot papers to prove that they were justified to murder our people, to stop our people from acting their function as polling agents. Like SG said, we have run a PVT system, and he indicated that the only places where we don't have sufficient information is Southern, Western, and Northwestern. Why is that? It is because our polling agents were systematically removed from polling stations. And the information that is reaching the Secretariat is that, as the case was in Western Province, these incidences happened between 10 and 12 hours. They happened in various polling stations at the same time to overwhelm the police. And that's the reason why the police did not take sufficient action to protect our people. One of our polling agents was tied against a tree in Kalumwangi and left there until the end of the counting of ballot papers.
The Human Rights Commission, HRC, has called on the government to, with immediate effect, restore internet services so as to promote the right to access to information and communication through social media platforms. The Commission chairperson, Madford Mandenga, says he is concerned that at a time when the general citizenry is relying on social media platforms to communicate and to access information relating to the electoral process, the internet seems to have been shut down, thereby depriving the people the right to information. He says the apparent shutdown of internet services is a breach of the constitutional right to freedom of expression and information. Mr. Mandenga noted that blocking of the internet service has the potential of creating suspicion, speculations, and misinformation in the management of election results and may result into anxiety and possibly violence. Christian Churches Monitoring Group, CCMG, has condemned the shutting down of the internet while people were exercising their constitutional right to vote. CCMG chairperson Father Emmanuel Chikoya says the act has the potential to raise suspicions among members of the public concerning the electoral results.
Internet shutdowns are emphasized, undermine the transparency of election processes, and curtail the right of voters to receive timely and necessary information about elections. Inclusion. Approximately half of all polling officials were women, and 39% of security officers at polling stations were women, while 43% of PF and 37% of UPND party agents were women. At 48% of polling stations, voters had to climb stairs to reach the polling station, limiting access to the physically impaired.
You are still watching main news on the Finest Television. We take our second set of commercials. Join us for foreign and sports news when we come back.
Hello, my name is Rachel Mumba. Since time immemorial, a woman's place has been said to be the kitchen. But here on Woman on the Move, we bring you an array of accomplished women. These women have decided to challenge the status quo by going ahead and recording enormous amounts of success, even in places that have been thought to be male-dominated. These women are movers and shakers, trailblazers who have gone ahead, paved the way for other women, showing them that they too can make their dreams a reality despite the many odds that they may be faced with. Join me every Saturday at 11 hours as I bring you Woman on the Move, only on KBN TV, the Finest Television.
Welcome back, and now we focus on foreign news. Taliban insurgents tightened their grip on Afghanistan on Friday, wresting control of the second and third largest cities as Western embassies prepare to send in troops to help evacuate staff from the capital, Kabul. The capture of Kandahar in the south and Herat in the west after days of clashes is a devastating setback for the government as the Taliban advances turn into a rout. For more on this story, we monitored France 24 News.
Bilal, we've seen some fresh gains for the Taliban in some of the country's biggest cities and provincial capitals this Friday. Just how significant are these gains?
Well, we have seen footage and photos showing that Ismail Khan, the Taliban's rival until yesterday, fighting against them, has surrendered or has been taken captive by the Taliban, along with the country's Deputy Interior Minister in charge of security, General Rahman, the provincial intelligence chief, the police chief, the governor of Herat province, who also used to be the former Deputy Interior Minister. So these complex dynamics, emerging from provinces and districts and villages are actually very, very hard for Afghans to comprehend, and they are a game changer. We are being told that the Taliban got inside the 207 Zafar Corps, the regional army base that is tasked with protecting Western Afghanistan. They were accompanied by tribal elders. They came as guests and they had tea. They had conversations with the senior officials. And now I have seen a video which, the Taliban are trying to interview Ismail Khan, asking him what is his message to other people. And it is not clear if he conducted that interview willingly or if it was under duress. But these are the type of scenes that I saw myself in 2001 and 2002, when I was a translator at the time, working with the international press, trying to cover the post-Taliban Afghanistan. And these are causing massive fears and uncertainty among the people of Afghanistan. We also have confirmation from multiple Afghan counterterrorism officers that the Americans carried an airstrike in the provincial capital of Logar province, the home province of President Ashraf Ghani.
And finally, in sports news, Zambian champions Zesco United will face Royal Leopards of Eswatini in the preliminary round of the 2021-2022 Total Energies CAF Champions League. Zesco will be away in the first leg set for the weekend of September 10 and 12 before hosting Leopards in the second leg match that will be played between September 17 and 19. The winner over the two legs will face either GD Zagrada Esperanca of Angola or FC Platinum of Zimbabwe in the second preliminary round. Well, that sporting item brings us to the end of today's edition of Main News, but before we go, we'll take a quick recap of stories that made headlines. Tempers rise as ECZ walks out without announcing election results. Sean Tembo, Fred Membe and Dr. Nevas Mumba concede defeat in the presidential race. The Human Rights Commission calls for immediate restoration of internet services in Zambia. Taliban capture 2 major cities, tightening insurgent grip on Afghanistan. ZESCO